The war room on Kepler Prime buzzed with tension. 12 different alien species sat around the massive circular table, each representing worlds that had fought the Vorthak Empire for over 200 years. The air shimmered with translation fields as dozens of languages merged into understanding. Admiral Kang De-ho stood near the back wall, watching. His dark uniform looked plain next to the elaborate armor and biosuits of the other military leaders. The humans had been part of the Galactic Coalition for only 10 years. In galactic terms, they were still babies. The Nexari representative Veltar spoke without moving his mouth. His words appeared directly in everyone's mind through telepathy. The Vorthak have taken 3 more star systems, Caldris Nexus 7 and the mining colonies of Vectar Prime. Our losses are becoming critical. Zephys Prime Unit, the Althari delegate, projected holographic data above the table. The blue-skinned android's voice carried no emotion. Casualty calculations show 47,000 coalition vessels destroyed in the past month. Vorthak forces advance using predictive algorithms that counter our standard tactics with 94.7% accuracy. Captain Lee Taeman shifted beside Admiral Kang. The Special Forces officer had scars on his hands from missions the Coalition considered too dangerous for humans. His jaw tightened as he listened to the numbers. Corvin War Chief Brutok slammed a massive fist on the table. His species looked like walking tanks bred for warfare over thousands of years. Numbers mean nothing. We must strike at their heart worlds before they grow stronger. Impossible, said Veltar, his mental voice cold. Our intelligence shows they expect such an attack. They have prepared massive defense fleets around their core systems. Dr. Park So-jin stepped forward from where she had been studying the tactical displays. The xenobiologist had spent 5 years researching Vorthak behavior patterns. Most of the aliens barely acknowledged her existence. If I may speak, she said quietly. The room fell silent, but not from respect. Several alien delegates exchanged looks that clearly said they wondered why a human was even present. The Vorthak psychological profile shows they rely heavily on fear and intimidation. Dr. Park continued. Their entire empire depends on other species believing they cannot be defeated. If we could find a way to break that image, Veltar's mental laughter echoed in everyone's minds. Your species has been in space for barely 50 years. You understand nothing of galactic warfare. The Vorthak have conquered hundreds of civilizations. They have weapons that can crack planets and shields that laugh at our strongest attacks. Ambassador Choi Hee-young spoke from her seat at the table. Her voice remained calm despite the dismissal. Perhaps our different perspective could offer new solutions. We have studied your war records. The same strategies have been tried repeatedly with the same results. Because they are the correct strategy, snapped Zephys Prime Unit. Warfare is mathematics. Ship counts, weapon effectiveness, resource allocation. Your primitive thinking cannot comprehend the calculations involved. The Senathi delegate, whose species looked like walking trees, rustled his bark-like skin in agreement. The humans serve best in support roles. Let them continue running supplies and defending empty systems while real warriors fight. Admiral Kang felt his hands clench behind his back. 10 years of this. 10 years of being treated like children, while the galaxy burned around them. The Coalition was losing, had been losing for decades, but they were too proud to admit their methods had failed. What about guerrilla tactics? Captain Lee asked suddenly. Hit-and-run attacks, disrupting supply lines, striking where they least expect? War Chief Brutok laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Coward tactics. The Corvin do not hide like scavengers. We face our enemies with honor. Honor does not win wars, Admiral Kang said quietly. Every head in the room turned toward him. He stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. Victory wins wars. Sometimes victory requires doing things others consider beneath them. Veltar's mental voice dripped with condescension. And what would humans know of victory? Your species has never won a major engagement against any serious opponent. You fight among yourselves with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. You barely understand quantum mechanics. The room filled with alien murmurs of agreement. Dr. Park felt her face flush with anger, but she kept her expression neutral. These beings had technology that could reshape matter. Ships that traveled between stars in days. Weapons that could destroy moons, but they had been losing this war for 2 centuries. Perhaps, Ambassador Choi said carefully, we could be given a chance to prove our worth. Assign us to something more challenging than supply runs. Very well, Zephys Prime Unit said, projecting new data. Our latest intelligence shows the Vorthak are massing for a major offensive against the Helios cluster. If they succeed, they will have a clear path to the core worlds. We are committing all available reserves to stop them. The holographic display showed massive fleets moving into position. Thousands of ships from across the coalition were converging on what would likely be the largest battle in galactic history. "What would you have us do?" Admiral Kang asked. "The Outer Rim territories will be lightly defended during the offensive," Veltar explained. "Someone must protect our supply lines and trade routes. It is a perfect assignment for human capabilities." Captain Lee's eyes narrowed. They were being sent to the safest possible location, far from any real fighting. It was another insult disguised as an assignment. "We accept," Admiral Kang said simply. Ambassador Choi looked surprised. Dr. Park frowned. Captain Lee's jaw worked silently. They all expected their admiral to argue for a more significant role. "Excellent," War Chief Brutok rumbled. "The humans can play guard while warriors decide the fate of the galaxy." The meeting continued for another hour, discussing fleet movements and battle strategies. The humans listened carefully to everything, taking notes, asking occasional questions that most delegates ignored. When the session finally ended, the alien representatives filed out in their respective groups, already planning for the great battle ahead. The 4 humans remained behind as the war room emptied. "Sir," Captain Lee began, "with respect, we could contribute more than—" Admiral Kang raised a hand to stop him. He waited until the last alien delegate had left and the room's security systems confirmed they were alone. "We are going to contribute more," he said quietly. "Much more than they can imagine." Dr. Park tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "They see us as primitive children playing with toys," Admiral Kang said, walking to the tactical display. "Let them continue believing that. While they fight their predictable battles with their calculated strategies, we will do what humans do best." "Which is?" Ambassador Choi asked. Admiral Kang smiled for the first time in days. It was not a pleasant expression. "We adapt. We improvise. We do the impossible." He touched the display, highlighting the outer rim sectors they had been assigned to defend. "Captain Lee, how many human ships can we gather without raising suspicions?" "About 300, sir. Mostly merchants, scouts, and patrol vessels. Nothing that would impress a coalition military analyst." "Perfect. Dr. Park, I need you to compile everything you know about Vorthak biology and psychology. Everything the coalition has ignored because it didn't fit their civilized standards." "Yes, sir. But what are you planning?" Admiral Kang studied the star map, his mind already working through possibilities the aliens had never considered. The coalition fought like chess masters, moving pieces according to ancient rules and established patterns. The Vorthak had learned to counter every move, but humans had never been good at following rules. "We are going to remind this galaxy why Earth's history is written in blood," he said softly. "While they fight for territory and tactical advantage, we are going to fight to win completely, finally, no matter what it takes." Ambassador Choi felt a chill run down her spine. She had read Earth's military history. Humanity had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare, not for honor or glory but for survival. They had learned lessons that more civilized species had never needed to face. "The coalition thinks we are weak because we are young," Admiral Kang continued. "They will learn the difference between inexperience and restraint. We have been holding back, trying to fit into their way of war. No more." He turned to face his officers, and they saw something in his eyes that made them understand why humanity had survived long enough to reach the stars. "Signal all human commanders. Implement Protocol Aegis. It is time to show this galaxy what happens when humans stop playing by other people's rules." The war for the galaxy was about to change forever. 3 weeks after the meeting on Kepler Prime, Captain Lee Taman crouched in the shadows of a Vorthak supply depot. His black combat suit made him nearly invisible against the dark metal walls. Behind him, 5 other human soldiers waited for his signal. The depot orbited a dead moon in what the coalition considered empty space. The aliens had never bothered to scout this far into the outer rim. They thought nothing important happened here. They were wrong. Lee pressed his finger to his earpiece. "Command, this is Ghost Team. I count 47 Vorthak soldiers, all carrying standard plasma rifles. No heavy weapons visible." Admiral Kang's voice crackled back through the encrypted channel. "Confirmed, Ghost Team. Dr. Park's analysis shows their armor is weakest at the neck joints. Avoid energy weapons. Use projectile rounds only. Understood, sir. Lee had questioned the order at first. Human projectile weapons seemed primitive compared to Coalition energy rifles. But Dr. Park had spent weeks studying captured Vorthak equipment. She discovered something the other species had missed. Vorthak bioarmor was designed to absorb and redirect energy. Solid bullets, however, punched right through it. The Coalition scientists had been too sophisticated to test such simple weapons. Lee signaled his team. They moved like shadows using maintenance tunnels and air vents that no civilized species would consider as attack routes. The Vorthak had built their depot to defend against frontal assaults by heavily armed fleets. They never imagined enemies crawling through their waste disposal systems. 30 minutes later, the depot exploded. 47 Vorthak soldiers died without understanding what had killed them. More importantly, 3 million tons of supplies meant for the front lines went up in flames. On the bridge of the merchant vessel, Lucky Dragon, Admiral Kang watched the explosion through long-range sensors. Around him, his command crew worked quietly at stations that looked like standard civilian equipment. The Coalition would see nothing suspicious about a simple trading ship. That makes Depot Number 12, reported Commander Yoon Jin-woo, his intelligence officer. Ghost Team has eliminated more Vorthak supplies in 3 weeks than the Coalition managed in 6 months. Good, Admiral Kang said. But we are just getting started. What about the other operations? Dr. Park So-jin looked up from her research station. She had dark circles under her eyes from working 18-hour days. The biological agent is ready for testing. We can deploy it on the next target. Admiral Kang nodded. The biological agent was Dr. Park's masterpiece. It attacked Vorthak nervous systems in ways that Coalition medicine considered unethical. Other species had refused to develop such weapons because they violated galactic conventions about warfare. Humans had no such restrictions. Ambassador Choi, what is the status of our merchant network? Ambassador Choi Hee-young turned from her communications console. All ships are in position. We now have assets in 73 Vorthak systems. The Coalition thinks we are just trading for rare minerals. The merchant network was perhaps their most important achievement. Over the past 3 weeks, human trading vessels had spread throughout Vorthak territory. The aliens allowed them because humans carried goods that other species would not touch. Weapons-grade materials, exotic chemicals, biological samples that civilized races found distasteful. The Vorthak saw profit and permitted the trade. They did not realize that every human merchant was also a spy. Every trading post became an intelligence-gathering station. Every cargo container might contain surveillance equipment or sabotage devices. Sir, Commander Yoon said, we are receiving reports from the main front. The Coalition offensive has begun. Admiral Kang studied the tactical display. Thousands of alien ships were engaging Vorthak forces near the Helios cluster. The battle was enormous, visible across half the galaxy. Energy weapons lit up space like miniature stars. Early reports? He asked. Not good, sir. The Vorthak were ready for them. They have been using the same tactics for 200 years. Feltar's telepathic coordination, Zeph's prime unit's mathematical strategies, War Chief Brutok's frontal assaults. The enemy adapted their defenses accordingly. Dr. Park shook her head. They never learn. The Vorthak Empire has detailed records of every Coalition battle for the past century. They know exactly how each species fights. But they have no records of how humans fight, Admiral Kang said quietly. We have never shown them our true capabilities. On the display, Coalition casualty reports began flowing in. The alien fleets were taking massive losses. Their predictable attack patterns made them easy targets for Vorthak defensive systems. Should we offer assistance? Ambassador Choi asked. Not yet. Let them exhaust themselves. Both sides. When they are weak, then we act. Captain Lee's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, Ghost Team has reached Target Echo, requesting permission to proceed. Target Echo was a Vorthak communication relay station. It coordinated supply shipments across 3 star systems. Dr. Park had identified it as a critical weakness in their logistics network. Permission granted, Captain. Full deployment. Understood, sir. Beginning biological agent release in 3 minutes. Admiral Kang watched the timer count down. In 3 minutes, Dr. Park's weapon would be tested in actual combat for the first time. If it worked as designed, every Vorthak in the station would be dead within an hour. Sir, Commander Yoon said nervously, are we sure about this? Using biological weapons crosses lines that even the Corvin respect. The Corvin are losing, Admiral Kang replied. Honor is a luxury we cannot afford. The Vorthak do not fight with honor. They fight to win. So will we. Dr. Park monitored her readings carefully. The biological agent was invisible, odorless, and specifically designed to target Vorthak physiology. It would not harm other species. Coalition medical ethics had prevented such research for centuries. Human medical ethics were more flexible. Deployment successful, Captain Lee reported. Beginning extraction. 1 hour later, the communication relay went silent. 3 star systems lost coordination with their supply networks. Vorthak fleets at the front line suddenly found themselves short of ammunition and replacement parts. It worked perfectly, Dr. Park said with satisfaction. The agent killed every Vorthak in the station but left their equipment undamaged. We can study their technology without interference. Admiral Kang smiled grimly. Excellent. How quickly can we produce more of the agent? I can have enough for 10 more deployments within a week. Do it. Commander Yoon, signal our merchant ships. Begin Phase 2 of the operation. Yes, sir. What should I tell them? Tell them it is time to stop pretending to be merchants. Across Vorthak space, human trading vessels began their true mission. In cargo holds that had carried luxury goods, teams of engineers assembled sabotage devices. Communication equipment that had seemed like simple trade computers began broadcasting false information into Vorthak military networks. The humans had spent 3 weeks learning everything about Vorthak systems, culture, and weaknesses. Now they began to use that knowledge. On the mining world of Threshkar, the human trading post suddenly exploded, taking half the planet's refining facilities with it. The Vorthak blamed equipment failure. Near the fortress world of Vekthul, a human cargo ship suffered an apparent engine malfunction. When Vorthak rescue vessels approached, the ship exploded with enough force to cripple 3 military cruisers. In the 7th Fleet's home system, Vorthak communication networks began receiving false orders. Ships moved to defend against attacks that did not exist. Supply convoys traveled to empty coordinates. Sir, Commander Yoon reported, we are getting confirmation from all sectors. Phase 2 is succeeding beyond our projections. Admiral Kang studied the reports flowing in from across Vorthak territory. In just 1 day, human operations had caused more damage to enemy infrastructure than the Coalition had managed in months. The Vorthak are beginning to realize something is wrong, Dr. Park said. Their internal communications show increasing paranoia. They are starting to question every merchant vessel, every trade agreement. Good. Paranoia will slow their response time. Ambassador Choi, have any of our ships been exposed? 3 vessels have been questioned, but their cover stories held. The Vorthak still believe we are just traders seeking profit. Maintain that deception as long as possible. Captain Lee, what is the status of the special equipment? Ready for deployment, sir. The modified Coalition weapons are showing excellent test results. When combined with our new tactics, they should be very effective. The special equipment was Admiral Kang's secret project. While the Coalition had given humans their outdated ships and obsolete weapons, human engineers had been busy. They stripped down alien technology and rebuilt it to human specifications. Coalition energy weapons were designed for long-range, precise combat between large fleets. Human engineers made them smaller, faster, and capable of being fired from hiding spots. Alien shields were programmed to deflect known weapon types. Human programmers inserted code that made them vulnerable to attacks the galaxy had never seen before. Sir, Commander Yoon said urgently. Priority message from the front lines. Admiral Kang accepted the transmission. Feltar's mental voice filled the bridge, carrying exhaustion and desperation. All Coalition forces, this is emergency command. The Helios offensive has failed. We are retreating to defensive positio. The emergency Coalition Council meeting began with silence. Around the circular table on Kepler Prime, the alien representatives sat in defeat. Their great offensive had failed. 3 months of preparation, thousands of ships, millions of lives, all wasted against Vorthak defenses. Veltar's mental voice carried exhaustion. Casualty reports are still coming in. We lost 60% of our fleet strength. The Nixari lost 4 entire battle groups. Our telepathic coordination proved useless against their jamming technology. Zephyr's Prime unit projected holographic data with mechanical precision. Strategic analysis confirms total operational failure. Vorthak counteroffensive capabilities remain at 97%. Our remaining forces cannot mount effective resistance. War Chief Brutok's armor bore fresh battle scars. My warriors fought with honor. But honor does not stop plasma torpedoes. The enemy has weapons we cannot match. Admiral Kang Dae-ho listened from his position near the wall. The humans had been invited to this meeting, but only as observers. The coalition still did not trust them with important decisions. The Vorthak will reach the core worlds within 6 months, said the Senathi delegate, his bark-like skin rustling with fear. Our industrial centers, our population centers, everything we have built over millennia will be destroyed. Ambassador Choi Hee-young spoke quietly. Perhaps it is time to consider alternative strategies. Several alien delegates turned to look at her. Their expressions ranged from desperate hope to bitter anger. What alternatives? Veltar asked. We have tried every conventional approach. The Vorthak counter every tactic we develop. They learn from our mistakes faster than we can adapt. There are unconventional approaches, Admiral Kang said. He stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. Methods that civilized species might find disturbing. Zephyr's prime unit calculated rapidly. Human military capabilities remain insufficient for direct engagement. Your fleet strength represents less than 3% of coalition forces. Fleet strength is not the only measure of military power, Dr. Park So-jin said from her position beside the admiral. Sometimes the smallest forces can achieve the greatest victories. War Chief Brutok laughed bitterly. Pretty words, but the Vorthak do not fear poetry. They fear superior firepower and strategic position, both of which they possess, do they? Admiral Kang asked. He gestured to Captain Lee Tae-min, who activated a portable display device. The hologram showed Vorthak territory, but something was wrong. Red warning symbols flashed across dozens of star systems. Supply lines showed massive disruptions. Communication networks displayed significant gaps. What is this? Veltar demanded, his mental voice sharp with confusion. Intelligence gathered over the past 3 months, Captain Lee replied. The Vorthak Empire is experiencing unprecedented logistical failures. Supply depots destroyed, communication relays offline, transport convoys missing. Zephyr's prime unit's optical sensors focused intently on the data. These reports are inaccurate. Our intelligence networks show no such damage to Vorthak infrastructure. Your intelligence networks watch for large fleet movements in major battles, Dr. Park explained. They miss smaller operations. Operations that target weak points rather than strong ones. You are suggesting the damage was caused by sabotage? The Senathi delegate asked. I am suggesting the damage was caused by humans, Admiral Kang said simply. The room erupted in alien voices. Telepathic static filled the air as Nexari representatives argued among themselves. Althari calculation systems whirred at maximum capacity. Impossible, War Chief Brutok roared. Your species lacks the capability for such operations. You have no deep strike vessels, no advanced weapons, no strategic experience. We have something better, Captain Lee said quietly. We have motivation. Admiral Kang activated another display. This one showed human merchant vessels throughout Vorthak space, hundreds of ships that the aliens had dismissed as harmless traders. For 3 months you have been fighting a conventional war, he explained, following rules that the Vorthak understand and counter. Meanwhile, we have been fighting a different war entirely. What kind of war? Veltar asked, his mental voice carrying dangerous intensity. Total war, Admiral Kang replied. War without rules. War where victory matters more than honor. War where the enemy's strength becomes irrelevant because you attack their weaknesses instead. Dr. Park stepped forward. The Vorthak Empire depends on fear and psychological dominance. Their subject species obey because they believe resistance is hopeless. But what happens when that belief cracks? She activated a new display showing Vorthak-controlled systems. In several sectors, rebellion indicators flashed red. 17 subject species have begun uprising in the past month, she continued. They heard rumors of successful attacks against Vorthak forces. Small victories, but enough to prove the Empire can bleed. Zephyr's prime unit processed the information rapidly. The probability of spontaneous multi-system rebellion is approximately 0.3%. These uprisings must have been coordinated. They were, Ambassador Choi confirmed. Human merchants carry more than trade goods. They carry information, weapons, and hope to species that have forgotten what freedom looks like. You have been conducting military operations without coalition approval, Veltar accused, his mental voice cold with anger. This violates every treaty and protocol we have established. Your treaties and protocols were losing the war, Admiral Kang replied without emotion. Ours are winning it. Winning? War Chief Brutok stood, his massive frame towering over the table. You claim victory based on sabotage and inciting rebellion? Those are the tactics of cowards and criminals. Captain Lee's expression hardened. Those are the tactics of survivors. Your honorable warfare has achieved nothing but defeat. Our cowardly methods have crippled their supply lines and turned their empire against itself. Show them the weapon data, Admiral Kang ordered. Dr. Park hesitated. Sir, that information is classified under Protocol Aegis. Show them. Dr. Park activated another display. The hologram showed detailed biological and chemical analysis of Vorthak physiology. We have developed weapons specifically designed to exploit Vorthak biological vulnerabilities, she explained. Toxins that target their nervous systems, viruses that attack their immune responses, chemical agents that break down their bioarmor. The alien delegates stared in horror. Such weapons violated every galactic convention about acceptable warfare. These weapons are monstrous, the Senathi delegate whispered. No civilized species would create such things. No civilized species was winning the war, Dr. Park replied calmly. We analyzed the problem and developed solutions. If you find our methods disturbing, blame the Vorthak for forcing us to use them. Veltar's mental voice carried revulsion. You speak of genocide, of biological warfare that could destroy entire species. We speak of victory, Admiral Kang said, something this council has forgotten how to achieve. Even if these weapons work, Zephy's prime unit calculated, deployment would require massive fleet support. Human ships cannot penetrate Vorthak defensive perimeters. Human ships do not need to penetrate their defenses, Captain Lee explained. We are already inside their territory. Our merchant network has assets in every major Vorthak system. Merchant vessels cannot deploy military-grade weapons, War Chief Brutok objected. Can they not? Admiral Kang smiled coldly. Captain Lee, show them the Trojan Protocol. Captain Lee activated a final display. It showed the internal structure of a typical human cargo ship, but the cargo holds contained military equipment. The crew quarters housed special forces teams. The engines had been modified for combat operations. Every human merchant in Vorthak space is actually a warship in disguise, Captain Lee explained. We have been building our attack fleet under their noses for 3 months. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had not been sitting idle during the Coalition's failed offensive. They had been preparing their own war. You planned this, Veltar accused. From the beginning you intended to fight your own campaign. We plan to win, Admiral Kang replied. Something you seemed unable to do. The Vorthak will detect your ships once they reveal themselves, Zephy's prime unit warned. Their response will be swift and overwhelming. Let them respond, Admiral Kang said. By the time they realize what is happening, we will have struck simultaneously across their entire empire. Their fleets cannot be everywhere at once, and if you fail, the Senathi delegate asked, if your unconventional methods prove insufficient? Admiral Kang turned to face the assembled alien representatives. In his eyes they saw something that made them understand why humanity had climbed from the bottom of the food chain to the stars. Then we will try something else, and something else after that. We will adapt, improvise, and overcome every obstacle they place in our path. We will fight them with weapons they have never seen, tactics they cannot predict, and determination they cannot break. He paused, letting his words sink in. The Coalition has fought the same war for 200 years and lost. We have been fighting for 3 months and winning. The choice is simple. Continue your methods and watch the galaxy burn, or trust ours and help us save it. What do you need from us? Veltar Askiones, repeat, we are falling back. All. The Vorthak Command Center on Kethavar Prime hummed with activity. Supreme War Master Thexnal studied the tactical displays with growing concern. Reports flooded in from across the Empire, each one more disturbing than the last. Supply Depot Gamma 7 has gone silent, reported his aide. No response to communications for 6 hours. Equipment failure, Thexnal growled. Send a repair crew. Sir, that is the 14th depot to go silent this week. And the repair crew we sent to Delta 9? They found only bodies. All our soldiers were dead, but the facility was undamaged. Thexnal's massive claws clicked against his command throne. The Vorthak had ruled their empire through fear and superior force for over 1,000 years. Minor rebellions happened occasionally, but nothing like this. What about the coalition forces? Are they mounting some new offensive? No, sir. Our spy networks confirm they are still retreating from the Helios defeat. Most of their fleet strength remains in defensive positions around their core worlds. Then who is attacking our supply lines? Before the aide could answer, alarms began screaming throughout the command center. Emergency lights flashed red as data streams cascaded across the main display. Report, Thexanol roared. Sir, we are receiving distress signals from 17 systems simultaneously. Attacks on military bases, supply convoys, communication arrays, all happening at the same time. Thexanol felt cold fear creep up his spine. The coalition had never managed coordinated attacks across multiple systems. Their species were too different, their command structures too rigid. Show me the attack vectors. The display revealed something impossible. Attacks were coming from inside Vorthak territory, from ships that had been operating normally just hours before. Merchant vessels, supply transports, even some of their own converted cargo ships. How are coalition forces penetrating our defenses without detection? Sir, the aide said hesitantly, the attacking ships, they are not coalition vessels. Our sensors identify them as human merchants. Humans? Thexanol laughed harshly. The weakest species in the galaxy. The ones who run supply missions for their betters? Sir, perhaps you should see this. The aide activated a recording from Supply Base Omega-4. The hologram showed the final moments before the base went dark. A human cargo ship approached, requesting permission to dock. Standard procedure, nothing suspicious. Then the cargo ship opened fire. But these were not the primitive weapons Vorthak intelligence had reported. Energy beams tore through the base's shields like they were made of paper. The ship's hull opened to reveal military-grade missile launchers. Vorthak soldiers who tried to respond found their bioarmor dissolving under clouds of strange chemicals. In less than 10 minutes, the entire base was destroyed. This is impossible, Thexanol said. Human technology cannot penetrate our defenses. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the attacking ship. Put it through. The hologram shifted to show a human in black military uniform. Thexanol recognized the rank insignia of a captain, though he had never seen this particular human before. Attention, Vorthak forces, the human said calmly. I am Captain Lee Taman of the Human Liberation Fleet. Your base has been destroyed. Your soldiers are dead. This is just the beginning. You dare threaten the Vorthak Empire? Thexanol snarled at the recording. Captain Lee seemed to look directly at him through the screen. We do not threaten. We promise. For too long, your empire has brought suffering to innocent species. That ends today. The transmission cut off. Thexanol stared at the blank screen, his mind racing. Human Liberation Fleet? He had never heard of such a thing. Sir, the aide said urgently, we are receiving more attack reports. 23 systems now. The attacks are spreading. Deploy our defensive fleets. Crush these insects before they can cause more damage. Which systems, sir? The attacks are happening everywhere at once. Our fleet cannot be in all places. That was the nightmare scenario Vorthak strategists had feared for centuries. An enemy that could strike anywhere, anytime without warning. Their empire was vast, but their forces were concentrated in specific areas. They relied on fear and rapid response to maintain control. Sir, incoming priority transmission from Admiral Kethmore. The hologram showed a Vorthak fleet commander, his usually calm demeanor replaced by panic. War Master, my fleet is under attack by unknown forces. The enemy ships appear to be modified civilian vessels, but they carry weapons I have never seen. My shields are failing. They are using some kind of chemical weapon that burns through our hull armor. How many enemy ships? Thexanol demanded. I count over 50 vessels, but they appeared from nowhere. Our sensors showed only empty space, then suddenly they were there, firing from all directions. Use the fear protocols. Show them the price of defying the Empire. Sir, the fear protocols are not working. These humans seem immune to psychological warfare. They fight like machines. No, worse. They fight like predators. The transmission ended abruptly. Thexanol's aide looked terrified. Sir, Admiral Kethmore's fleet has gone silent. All ships destroyed. Thexanol felt his world crumbling. An entire fleet destroyed by primitive humans using modified cargo ships? It should have been impossible. Get me intelligence division. I want to know everything about these humans. How did they acquire such weapons? How did they coordinate such attacks? Sir, Intelligence Division is not responding. Their facility on Nexus 12 was destroyed 4 hours ago. For the first time in his long military career, Thexnal felt genuine fear. The humans had not just attacked military targets. They had eliminated the Empire's ability to gather information and coordinate responses. Sir, we are receiving reports from the outer territories. Several subject species have declared independence. They are attacking our garrison forces. Which species? All of them, sir. The Kalari, the Threx, the Vespatai, even the Gorthek. It is like they planned this together. Thexnal realized the horrible truth. The humans had not just attacked the Empire's military forces. They had organized a galaxy-wide rebellion. Every species the Vorthak had conquered was rising up at once. How is this possible? How did the humans coordinate with so many different species? His aide pulled up intelligence reports from the past several months. Sir, human merchant ships have been visiting these systems regularly. We assumed they were just trading for resources, but they were actually organizing resistance movements. It appears so, sir. They have been supplying weapons, sharing intelligence, and coordinating attack plans, all while we thought they were harmless traders. Another alarm sounded. More attack reports flooded in. The human assault was spreading faster than Vorthak forces could respond. Sir, priority transmission from the Homeworld Defense Fleet. The hologram showed Commander Velthak, one of their most experienced officers, but instead of his usual confident bearing, he looked desperate. Warmaster, unknown human forces have appeared in the home system. They are attacking our orbital defense platforms with weapons that ignore our shields. Request immediate reinforcement. How many ships? Thexnal asked. I count nearly 200 vessels, but they keep appearing. It is like they were hiding in our own system, waiting for the signal to attack. Thexnal felt sick. The humans had been planning this for months, maybe years. While the coalition fought their predictable battles, the humans had been preparing a completely different kind of war. Sir, his aide said quietly, we are receiving a general transmission on all frequencies. It is from the humans. Put it through. The hologram showed a human admiral standing on the bridge of a warship. Thexnal recognized him from intelligence files. Admiral Kang De-ho. The human military commander the Empire had dismissed as irrelevant. People of the galaxy, Admiral Kang said, his voice carrying across thousands of star systems. For too long, the Vorthak Empire has brought darkness to our worlds. They have enslaved species, destroyed civilizations, and spread fear across the stars. That ends today. Today, humanity stands with all free species against tyranny. We offer our weapons, our ships, and our lives to break the chains of oppression. The Vorthak thought us weak because we are young. They will learn that youth brings strength, not weakness. Admiral Kang looked directly into the camera, and Thexnal felt those human eyes looking into his soul. To the Vorthak Empire, we say this: surrender now and we will show mercy. Continue to fight, and we will show you why humanity survived long enough to reach the stars. We are coming for you, all of you, and we will not stop until every slave world is free. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Thexnal could hear his own heart's beating. Sir, his aide whispered. What are your orders? Thexnal stared at the tactical display. Red warning symbols covered half the Empire. Rebellions were spreading. His fleets were being destroyed by an enemy he had never taken seriously. Send a message to all Vorthak commanders, he said finally. Full military alert. Deploy all reserves, and send a priority transmission to the Emperor. What should the message say, sir? Thexnal looked at the chaos spreading across his empire. An empire that had seemed invincible just hours before. Tell him the humans are coming, and we may not be able to stop them. 6 months after the first human attack, Admiral Kang De-ho stood on the bridge of the battleship Indomitable as it entered orbit around the Vorthak homeworld. Behind him, a fleet of 300 ships waited in perfect formation. But these were not the same vessels that had hidden as merchant ships. They were the combined fleets of humanity and their new allies. The war was over. The Vorthak Empire had surrendered. Captain Lee Taemin approached, his uniform bearing new decorations from a dozen grateful species. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planetary surface. The Vorthak leadership requests permission to formally surrender. Grant them permission, Admiral Kang said, but remind them that this surrender applies to their entire empire, not just this world. Through the viewport, Admiral Kang could see the massive planet below. For 1,000 years, the Vorthak had ruled the galaxy from this world. Now it lay defenseless beneath human guns. Dr. Park So-jin joined them at the observation deck, carrying a tablet filled with reports. The Liberation fleets have secured the last Vorthak stronghold systems. Over 200 species have declared independence. The Empire has completely collapsed. Casualties? Admiral Kang asked. Remarkably light on our side. The biological weapons proved even more effective than we hoped. Most Vorthak forces surrendered rather than face them. Total human losses are under 5,000 across the entire campaign. Ambassador Choi Hai-young entered the bridge, accompanied by delegates from dozens of species. They had come to witness the formal end of the war that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Admiral, Ambassador Choi said, the Coalition Council has asked me to convey their official gratitude. They also request that you accept the position of Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. Admiral Kang turned from the viewport. What did you tell them? I told them you would consider it. But first we must deal with the surrender ceremony. On the main screen, the image of Supreme War Master Thexnal appeared. The proud Vorthak commander looked broken, his armor dented and scarred from the final battles. Admiral Kang, Thexnal said, his voice carrying defeat. I am authorized to surrender all Vorthak military forces to human command. We accept your terms. The terms are simple, Admiral Kang replied. Complete disarmament of all military forces. Immediate withdrawal from all occupied worlds. Reparations to be paid to victim species. And trials for war criminals, we accept. But I must ask. How did you do it? How did your species defeat us so completely? Our intelligence said humans were primitive, weak, insignificant. Admiral Kang was quiet for a moment. Behind him, the bridge crew waited for his response. Your intelligence was wrong about what makes a species strong, he said finally. You saw our young civilization and assumed we were weak. You saw our simple technology and thought we were primitive. You missed the most important thing about humanity, which is, we adapt. When peaceful methods fail, we learn warfare. When conventional tactics fail, we invent new ones. When honor becomes a weakness, we abandon it. Your empire was built on the idea that superior force could control everything. But force without wisdom is just destruction waiting to happen. Thexnal's image flickered as explosions lit up the sky behind him. The last Vorthak defense systems were being dismantled by Liberation forces. Our empire lasted 1,000 years, he said bitterly. And it fell in 6 months, Captain Lee added, because you never learned the most important lesson in warfare, which is, your enemy gets a vote too. The transmission ended. Admiral Kang turned to address the assembled delegates. Representatives of the free galaxy, he began. Today marks the end of the Vorthak Empire, but it also marks the beginning of something new. We cannot simply return to the old ways. The galaxy has changed. Veltar, the Nexari delegate, stepped forward. His mental voice carried respect instead of condescension for the first time. Admiral Kang, what do you propose? A new alliance. Not based on the superiority of any single species, but on the strengths each brings to the whole. The Nexari have telepathic abilities we cannot match. The Althari have computational power beyond human capability. The Korvan have warrior traditions that span millennia. War Chief Brutok, his armor still bearing scars from the final battles, nodded slowly. And humans bring the ability to think differently, to see solutions others miss. Exactly. The Vorthak Empire fell because it relied on fear and rigid thinking. Our new alliance will be built on cooperation and adaptive strategy. Dr. Park activated a holographic display showing the former Vorthak territory. We have identified over 300 species that need assistance rebuilding their civilizations. Some have been enslaved for centuries. They will need time, resources, and protection. Humanity volunteers to lead the reconstruction efforts, Ambassador Choi announced. We have experience building from nothing, and we understand what it means to fight for freedom. Zephyr's Prime Unit, the Althari representative, processed data rapidly. The logistical requirements are enormous. Rebuilding hundreds of worlds, establishing new governments, maintaining security against remaining Vorthak holdouts. The probability of success is difficult to calculate. Then we will make our own probability, Admiral Kang said. Humans have never been good at accepting impossible odds. The ceremony continued for several hours. Treaties were signed, territories were allocated, and the framework for a new galactic government was established. But the real work would take years. As the official proceedings ended, Captain Lee approached Admiral Kang privately. Sir, I have been thinking about something Thexnal said, about how our intelligence described us as weak and primitive. What about it? We were weak when we first joined the coalition. Our technology was inferior, our military was tiny, our experience was limited. So how did we win? Admiral Kang smiled. Because being weak is not the same as staying weak. Every species in the galaxy assumed we would remain what we were when they first met us. They never considered that we might grow, learn, and become something more. The coalition made the same mistake. Yes. They treated us like children who would never mature. The Vorthak treated us like insects that would never evolve. Neither understood that humanity's greatest strength is our capacity for change. Dr. Park joined their conversation. I have been analyzing the biological samples we collected during the war. The Vorthak have barely evolved in over 1 million years. Their society, their technology, their thinking, all essentially unchanged. While humans went from cave dwellers to star travelers in a few thousand years, Captain Lee observed. Exactly. They saw that rapid development as proof of our primitive origins. We see it as proof of our potential. Ambassador Choi approached their group. Admiral, the Coalition Council is waiting for your decision about the Supreme Commander position. Admiral Kang looked out at the fleet surrounding them. Ships from dozens of species, flying in formations that would have been impossible 6 months ago. The galaxy had learned to work together because humans had shown them how. Tell them I accept, he said, but on one condition, which is, the position rotates among species every 5 years. No single race should hold ultimate power for too long, not even humanity. Ambassador Choi looked surprised. Sir, the galaxy trusts human leadership now. They want you to remain in command. And that is exactly why we should not remain in command permanently. Power corrupts even good people. The Vorthak started as protectors of their region. They ended as conquerors of the galaxy. You are refusing absolute power, War Chief Brutok asked, having overheard the conversation. I am ensuring that no species ever has absolute power again, including us. The alien delegates exchanged looks of amazement. They had expected humans to claim dominion over the galaxy they had liberated. Instead, they were proposing to share leadership. This is why the galaxy trusts you, Veltar said, his mental voice carrying deep respect. You could rule us all, but you choose not to. We choose to serve instead, Admiral Kang replied. That is the difference between conquest and liberation. As the fleets began dispersing to their new assignments, Captain Lee remained on the bridge with Admiral Kang. Sir, what happens now? The war is over. The Empire is defeated. What does humanity do next? Admiral Kang looked out at the stars, each one representing worlds that were now free to choose their own destiny. Now we do what humans have always done, Captain. We explore. We learn, we build. And when the next threat emerges, we will be ready for it. Do you think there will be another threat? There always is. But next time, the galaxy will not face it divided. They will face it together, with all the strength that unity provides. Captain Lee smiled. And if that unity is not enough? Admiral Kang's expression grew determined. Then we will adapt. We will improvise. We will find a way to win, no matter what the odds. As the human fleet moved toward its next assignment, word spread across the galaxy. The species that had been dismissed as weak and primitive had not only won the war, they had chosen to share the peace. The galaxy no longer trembled in fear. Instead, it looked toward the future with hope, knowing that humanity would be there to help face whatever challenges lay ahead. And in the depths of space, other civilizations that had been watching the war took notice. Humanity had announced itself to the universe. Some of those watching civilizations felt fear.